This is MacTile Farm, my brand new tile-restricted Stardew Valley farm, and this is GunmetalHime. You know, the farmer for the tile-restricted farm. If you haven't guessed yet, since I'm a longtime RuneScape player who recently came back from another year-long break and an even longer-time Oser's video watcher, this whole thing is a reference to Settled's Tileman series, using Spicy Kai's Tileman mod for Stardew Valley. Immediately, as I load in, I feel as though I've made a huge mistake. I break through my first few tiles to the parsnip seeds. On the plus side, on my way out the door, I find out that I can unlock blocks as long as I'm pressed up against them with an empty hand, which means I shouldn't have to use stamina for this at all. In fact, as I push my way towards town, I find it works similarly to basically any other action in Stardew. If I hold down left click, I can walk in a straight line, and as long as I've got the money, off I go. I force my way past Pierre's all the way to the side of the Star Drop Saloon with the intent of maybe getting to the beach before the end of the 5th year, then head back home to plant the parsnips I have from Mayor Lewis. As I'm doing that, however, I find that I can hoe, plant, and even water crops on blocks that I haven't unlocked yet. I'll do my best to avoid that in the future, but for now, I'll allow it. I hoe out what dirt I can, sell what I have, then head to bed. I mean, after all, what else can I do? 31 gold. Nice. I bought some tiles on my farm that opened up my field just a little bit so I could pretend to get some more materials to sell. I also end up getting our first geode in the process. There you go, little buddy. I hoe every tile I have access to, then back to bed. Day 3 is always rainy, but you knew that already, didn't you, you smart little bugger? So it was my mental deadline for getting a path to the farm water source open, which I did after sizing up the tiles. I accidentally buy a tile on my way into town, making the one tile I saved not going the other way earlier worthless. Oh well. I work my way past Pierre's, he's closed today, and I swear it's never a convenient Wednesday, and take it upon myself to raid Gus's trash can for the first time, hoeing every bit of dirt I can there and back. The next few days are basically the same. Water crops, scrounge up materials, hoe every tile I can for clay, repeat. My only reliable social interaction during this time is Shane, and we all know how he can be. The only real break in the monotony was my parsnips coming in and the 100 gold that gave me. I use the gold and sell the parsnips to turn into green beans, then turn a little bit of it into beach pass money. That's so close that this is painful. Oh well, tomorrow for sure?
Tomorrow for sure.
There it is. I sit through the Willy cutscene, so I end up on the end of the pier. This is one of those tricks I was talking about before. And fish to my silly little heart's content, even throwing back some fish for better ones until I pass out so I don't have to be here for 20 IRL minutes. Honestly though, I wish I had planned this just a little bit better because I could have fully cleared my inventory and then been here with even more space for fish, but you live and learn. I won't get to see my profits until the next day since I passed out, so day 7 is a day of routine, hoeing for clay, checking trash cans, and wondering if I'll be able to fish again anytime soon without unlocking a million tiles. As I head down towards the beach again, I get my answer. Absolutely. The bridge on the river on the way to the beach only needs one tile unlocked to be able to reach the water, and I had just enough somehow. My clay farming days are over. Today's fishing wasn't the best though, so I headed back a little early. Once again, the next few days are about the same. Watering crops, checking trash cans, and fishing until I'm out of inventory space. I also get the community center open, but skip the cutscene so I don't spend my precious strawberry money getting back to the farm or waste fishing time. Clint also visits at some point because I got a treasure chest with copper. Sweet, this is actually probably the only way I'll get ore, and make a chest to maximize my fishing space. Oh, here you go, Shane. Oh, you like him? Found him in the trash. After a few decent days of fishing, I even managed to pull up a diamond at some point. Sweet. It was finally time for the egg festival. I prep my farm to plant the strawberries before I go, then set off. Now, I don't know what's worse here, the fact that I knew this would happen and I was sort of prepared for it, or the fact that it happens at all. And I do understand why it does, it's a separate map. But the amount of tiles I'll need to buy here to get back out sucks. Hopefully the strawberries will be worth it. But you know what, it's fine. I ended up leaving with 36 seeds, which is great actually, even that it's more than I normally leave with. With that milestone out of the way, and with a little bit of money from Dad, it was time to start pushing in towards the community center. Oh, and prepping to actually put things into the community center, but one thing at a time. Instead of fishing, a lot of my next few days are spent taking care of my crops and clearing resources off on my farm, too. I even managed to get a scarecrow set up after jonesing for some fiber and trying to figure out which tiles I should and shouldn't buy. On the 16th of spring, I break through the massive wall of tiles and finally read the Junimo scroll. The next big step is going to be getting to the Wizard's Tower, I guess. I also make it most of the way to Willy's. Shame, really. Luckily, it just takes one more day of clearing out my farm to poke through his defenses and buy a new fishing rod. Look, I never said it was the good one, okay? I'm terrible at the fishing minigame, cut me some slack. With a little extra fishing money in hand, I start to carve out towards Cinder Sap from the Pelican Town side and get access to one more trash can, soon to be 2, in the process. Now, at this point in the run, I'm doing the same thing every day. I'm following the same paths at about the same time to do the exact same things, with very little variation depending on how much money I have in my wallet. And then, as I was fishing off the Pelican Town bridge in the rain, it hit me. I'm an NPC now. It's not really important to the overall narrative, but I figured you'd all like to know. I continue about my modded NPC days up until I have a really good fishing day, pull up a diamond and an emerald, and manage to use the money from those to carve all the way to the wizard's tower before the flower dance. After dealing with him, and by that I mean skipping the cutscene and then talking to him, I head back home and carve myself a path from the town path I made and back up to my farm. I can now access almost every part of Pelican Town, aside from the back road and where Linus and Robin live, so I use my last chunk of change to start heading that way too. Pretty poggers if I do say so myself. Back there, I grab a wild leek, meaning the only thing I'm missing for the spring foraging bundle now is a daffodil, but this might actually be an issue, because it seems like forageables aren't spawning in anywhere I've been already that I haven't unlocked the tiles for. I'll have to keep an eye on that for later seasons. On the 21st, my first strawberry harvest is upon us. I use my money from my fish the night before to carve my way down to the Wandering Trader, then take everything else I have to Pierre's, selling it, getting me a whopping 5.6 thousand gold, and setting about unlocking what I can of the path to Robin's house. I make it there with only 600 gold out of pocket spent, which means I can now start expanding my farm with buildings and stuff too. Still, no daffodils though. And with that, I have all the important parts of the valley, short of the mine, unlocked and available to me. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. I take some of my money and use it to make my farm more easily traversable, open up some space in the bus stop preemptively, then drag what I have left over to Willie's for an actual rod upgrade. I spend the rest of this very profitable day taking it for a spin. Bait really does make a huge difference. Now for the real kicker. On the morning of day 22, I decided I'd go out and see if any forageables have respawned. Lo and behold, in town, on my way to Mayor Lewis's trash can, there it was. A daffodil. This is like groundbreaking stuff. It also sort of confirmed that forage doesn't spawn unless the tile is clear, which makes sense, I guess. Anyway, I grab it, go back to my farm and grab my other stuff and run it over to the community center. I'll be honest, this is a momentous occasion for me. When I started recording this video, I did basically no planning because I think the story flows a little better when I kind of just freeball it, so actually getting a bundle done was like exhilarating. I take my spring seeds, unlock the way to the crops and fishing bundle, and decide to spend some coins to get into the Stardrop Saloon for a celebratory drink. It is 5 o'clock somewhere, after all. The next day I fish for more money, and then the next day I spend clearing out my farm and cleaning up some tiles instead of going to the flower dance. I don't have enough hearts with anyone anyway. After doing my usual trash and scavenging rotation, I decide to use some of my money to finally unlock the way to the museum and Clint's blacksmith shop. In the middle of my fishing, I also grabbed the first couple of artifacts I'm not going to sell and take them back to Gunther's. Or at least I would have if I didn't forget it was the flower festival. Damn it. The next day, after my last strawberry harvest and selling them to Pierre, then splurging on a backpack upgrade, I take the artifacts to Gunther. As I'm sitting on the pier, watching the fish swim by, I realize that really only one thing stands between me and really being able to say that this challenge is fully possible, and that's the mines. So far, I've gotten everything else unlocked and available, so why not them? Being scared, perhaps. Or burnt out from mining. Who knows? So I reel my bobber back in, sell my fish to Willie, run home, grab my pick, and open up the mines. Despite my best efforts, I don't manage to get to floor 5 the first try, but given the fact that from a quick glance, any tiles you unlock in the mine stay unlocked even with the maps refreshing when you leave, it's totally possible. My final goal for this challenge is getting to floor 5 in the mines, then. The next morning, I broke the money threshold for Demetrius to ask if I want bats or mushrooms. In stark contrast to last time, I tell him bats. Before I head to the community center with my freshly plucked cauliflower, I carve out the path towards the mushroom cave on my farm. I get the spring crops bundle turned in, carve out a path towards the boiler room, then it's back to the mines. Is anyone else getting deja vu from my last video yet, or is it just me? More than anywhere else so far, the mines seem like a really bad place for accidentally buying tiles the way that I have been, and with a little less than 1,000 gold to my name, I'm feeling the pressure. Luckily, just like that, and with very little resistance, we make it to floor 5. I go to the elevator and head back to floor 0, only to find that for some reason all of the mine floors are unlocked. I check again at the top floor and yep, all the floors are unlocked. As of writing this script, I'm not sure if that's intentional or what, but it is kind of fun, and that means that this challenge is absolutely possible, both with and without using traditional mining techniques, as it were. Neat. I settle into bed near the end of spring, and even though I'm still locked into what amounts to an NPC's pathing as far as routes and walking go, Stardew Valley is my oyster, and Pelican Town is my pearl, just waiting to be taken.